Oh, our little Fiat. It is slowly growing on me, and now I just can't stop working on it. So I got more stuff to do, and we're gonna get started on that right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man. In the last episode with this, we managed to get the little fella to run, and it runs pretty darn good. But we still have no water pump, and that is sadness. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the 1365 parts tractor, and I'm going to pull all the stuff off of there, and then we're going to bring it back down here and see how that would line up with spacing and whatnot. All right, sad little feller. We've just about got the good out of this one, but there's still more we need. So, come on. Now, I don't know how many people commented and said, I found a pump for $133 on the internet. Well, friends, guess what? That's for the diesel. And the diesel and gas are different on the 1250. So this is also totally different. But what I'm going to do is see if I can get my spacing right and then make an adapter plate to make this work. I'm going to try to track down original stuff, but the likelihood that it's going to be repairable is low. So if we get something that we can get a pump, that's a good idea. Always use impact tools on delicate fasteners. Yes. Yes, we will. What's left of daylight is going to be leaving us soon, so we need to get this pulled off of there so we can get into the shed. Don't need that. Now this is a cluster of sadness too. I gotta remember how this goes. I think if I take off the top piece, this, I can slide it up off of that pump and then take the 4 bolts loose that hold the pump on, question mark. One thing we're gonna do is drop our extension immediately so that we don't have that. And we need it. Aw. Good thing I brought the ratchet. Apparently, that is not good enough. Oh, friends. The stuff we get into. Man, that is stout. What do we have here that we could use to help pull on that? Anything? There. Just had to fard pound it into submission. This is good practice for when we change the water pump on the 1365 we use, because it ain't doing too good. It leaks. I mean, we could weld up the weep hole. That's always where they leak anyway, right? Not being able to see what you're doing is fire, you know? It's just bonus. Would that happen to... No. Yeah, I forgot. We had that off. That probably won't just pop off of there, will it? How much more stuff is still connected to this? Oh, that piece won't come off of there. Wah, wah. Okay. The reason is because there's a third bolt down in there. I forgot about that. I remember it when I tried to put the thing on to that other tractor, you know. I forgot to put this on in the right order. And it was basically, there's a lot of sadness built into these right from the factory. I bet I didn't bring enough tools to do all this, because I'm trying to get it down. Come on, play nice. It won't though. It won't play nice at all. I think it just turned. Well, why don't you just be a good little tractor? And do what you're supposed to. You're in the way. Come on. Come on. Peer pressure, friends. Don't let anyone tell you it doesn't work. All you gotta do is let her eat. That'll take that. That'll take that. That one's gonna be a pain in the Knudsen. And is there another one down there? I don't remember. Maybe not. So there might only be one pain in the Knudsen. Does this come off of here? It does. Well, that would make it a lot easier now, wouldn't it? Dum-dum. Is there one in the middle? No, surely not. There's one. There's two. There's three. How many more things? I don't know. That ought to be it. You would think there'd be a fourth one. There he is. Right down in that neighborhood. That's a bad neighborhood. See, that neighborhood there, it ain't very good to get to. It's the kind of neighborhood where you're going to be taking more pictures. I mean, we can't catch a break. Cool. Yes. Hold. So we need all these bolts with us, because they're all foreign. Don't forget, I shouldn't have this extension on there. That's stupid. Don't go away, bolt. I need you. All right. Now. Oh, it still had water in it. Cute. Boy, that is locked in there. We'll abandon that piece. That's fine. We will take with us everything. But we will probably use nothing. That should probably be on a shirt. Sounds very scientific-like. Okay, so why do that thing? Well, because of this sadness and the fact that the water pump doesn't exist for new replacements anymore, I'm trying to come up with ways that I can make it work anyway. So, what I'm thinking, I need to find me a water pump that I can at least get the belt lined up to start with. And I was hoping that this would be a candidate, and I think it will be. It's got just enough room where I could potentially make a adapter plate. Let me try to rest it on here so you get the visual. So if I were to, of course I'm not high up enough to have it centered yet, but, and I think I can even go out farther. I should probably bolt that down tight. So if I kind of line that up there, it's in line, and look at the space that I have between the water pump and this one, the block, I mean. So what I can do, in theory, I can figure out how much space I actually need, and I can cut, like, let's say a 1/2 inch plate steel, and I can make it big enough to cover this and cut a hole through the center so that it will eventually mate up with that hole there with the water. And if it's thick enough steel, I can probably just drill and tap into the one plate. It might take a combination of 2 plates, and I make one where I can bolt to this one, you know, and another one that bolts on there, and there we go. I can weld the 2 plates together and make something. But that is my thought process. And then see, another thing, then like this, well, I guess I lost 1 bolt for it, but whatever. Trying to get the stuff loose. You know, we can space out whatever we got to do, maybe. This fan's a little bit big, but I got an original fan coming. Maybe it will fit in there better. This one will fit, but it's going to be very precise. I can always shave off the edge of the outer things, you know, if I have to. Ideally, though, it'd probably be good to get it. If you got it in there far enough, I think it would be fine, which we could do with some amount of spacer that we could make, because that's also an odd duck. It's a 3 bolt. But that ain't no, that's the least of my worries. My big worry was this pump, and I think it's gonna go. I don't know if this is gonna let me tighten this down without bottoming out and causing sadness where it won't turn. But yeah, you know, if I can work out the details of this, like I said, it will be higher, because our big priority is going to be the spacing of the belt. Well, fine then. You just break off of there and don't worry about it. It's hard to get anything to hold still and cooperate. We'll have to do some envisioning, but I'm going to say about a 1/2 inch plate steel would fit between there. And then it's just going to be a matter of our hole pattern, getting it, you know, centered this way and up and down, and also, yeah, you know, we're going to have to make it in such a way probably where I can recess. How would I do that? It's going to take a bigger piece of plate steel than what we got space here, because what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to keep it probably, well, it's going to be kind of close with some of those bolts, but it would be neat to see if, I don't think that these are the same size. Of course, now it won't let me get anything out, you know. I don't think these are the size. They're not. So what I'm saying is, I might have to make it in such a way that, like, the bolt heads for those bolts are recessed in the adapter plate, and then you bolt your pump on top of that, and then all's right with the world, in order to make this go. But it's very doable, and if you do it in this fashion, this pump is kind of oriented correctly for what this tractor would need. It needs one outlet on that side to go to the bottom of the radiator, and then it had something on top that went to a thermostat housing with a bypass, which I don't have, but you can get them off the internet for race cars, and they screw together. But I'm thinking that this is going to be my candidate, even if I can find the original thing, because this water pump is readily available. And then if we ever have trouble again, why, we just buy another one of these, you know. I thought maybe about tilting it, so maybe we could get like one bolt hole to line up all the way through. But we may have to table that and see what we can accomplish. You know, I'll get the right bolts for the block so we can experiment with that. Let's see if I did something like that right there. Maybe I could have like that top corner bolt going through both pieces, and then everything else is just going to be adapter plate stuff. But that kind of calms my nerves a little bit, because I've been laying awake trying to figure out how to make this work, and I'm thinking that I like that idea, you know, because look, we got about that much space. I thinking it would be lined up pretty good, and then we could make something happen. We can order a new pump. That's just for research purposes there. We'll put a new one on if we get that far. I did find a pulley for this. However, I found another solution I think I'm going to go with too. I found a mini alternator that has a shaft out the back, and I'm going to see about, you know, making that mini alternator fit in this jobby, and then bolt the governor to the back of it, and then all's right with the world, you know. Then we got full 12 volt, everything the way it's supposed to be. But I'm betting that the mini alternator is going to be about from here to here, shorter, and then I'm going to have a custom thing made to make that go. I'm not exactly sure. I think that cup bolts onto the back of the generator with just a nut on that end of that shaft's threaded. So we're gonna have to dissect all that to figure it out. But that's gonna be a project for when that gets here. You know, maybe first we tackle the water pump, put the original pulley back on this, and then just try it out a while, and it won't charge the battery, to make sure that this design's gonna work. And then we move on to changing this. But I'm very hopeful now after seeing this. There's no reason why this wouldn't work with just a little custom fab. All right, it's the next day, and I think I got everything I need to try to make an attempt at this. I'm to the portion now of cleaning up this block first, tapping the holes. I guess we need to take a minute to appreciate the fact that just a couple years ago, I knew nothing about these FIATs. I had one in pieces, and I always heard they were a problem, and I didn't figure I'd ever even get that one that I had put back together. Now I've got, what, 4 or 5 of them, and I probably got the most videos of any YouTuber on YouTube of these FIATs. I've got over 100 videos on just FIATs, so that kind of blows my mind. Also, like this metric tap and die set. I bought that to do that first one, and I thought, oh, I'll never use it again after that. And now here we are, using it all the time, working on our FIAT collection. So, yeah. Basically what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna get this cleaned up and ready to go. The holes, the 4 holes we need, all need to be cleaned out because they've got trash in them. It's gonna take me a little bit, I think. Probably better go slow and, yeah, like clean that out, blow it out, go again. Because we don't want to destroy this. It is aluminum, it appears, and we don't want to have to find a new head, because that would be bad. But I got this chunk of plate steel here, and I'm going to take my piece of cardboard and make a pattern first, and then we will take that and transfer it into, you know, that plate. We might have to mill a little bit here, I don't know, you know, that looks a little bit proud of the head, and I'll need that space. So I might have to give that a little shaving, which shouldn't be a problem. But I think this is gonna work. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. I'm kind of happy with my solution, because a readily available water pump is still better than, you know, one that is going to be impossible to find even one of. So yeah, I'm still going to hunt original parts in case this would never work and we need to go back that way, but I'm going to try to make it more better, because that's kind of a challenge and I enjoy that. So that's where we're headed. I'll keep plugging away at this, and then I'll bring you back when something happens. All right, let me show you the beauty of what I discovered yesterday. Now that I have this hanging on there, if you turn it 45 degrees, 2 bolt holes will line up. So that's pretty sweet. That saves me a ton of fabrication there. So what I'm gonna get to do is I gotta cut my plate here where it's gotta mesh up to the back. I also need to be proud of this a little bit so I have room to figure out how to mount my air cleaner on. So I gotta leave a little extra on top. And then at the bottom, it's going to have to, basically, nothing is gonna affect it on the bottom. On this side, I'm just gonna have to have one hole to put the actual bolt of the water pump in there. But then this side is gonna be a trick because I have to cut it where the water can get to that hole. And that might be a challenge to try to keep it from leaking. I don't know yet. It's gonna work out where that hole is kind of in, like my bolt hole for this is gonna be in there. I guess that really wouldn't matter, but I gotta have that there. I could potentially go around it a little bit, but that is neither here nor there. That's a later figure out problem. I was hoping that maybe it would take enough where it would actually have to have more than a 1/2 inch so that I could have a piece behind it and just torch all the way through that thick piece and then just have a thin plate behind it as the backup. But then you would need 1, 2, 3 gaskets, and you got to take into account the thickness of gaskets too when you're making this, and so that may not be. I also considered taking this plate off the back of the water pump to gain me the extra space to make my own thing, but I don't know if that will affect performance. You know, I don't know how particular we are on how those water pumps funnel the water where they need to go. You know what I'm trying to say? It may not make a difference. I might be able to do that, but it'd be nice to just be able to pick up a water pump off the shelf, slap it on and go. So I could potentially cut a thinner plate here so I had room for one in the back, but we'll work that out later. So what I need to do here now, I need to take my cardboard and I need to get a basic shape of what I need, because I don't need it this big and my plate isn't that big, but I gotta know what I'm gonna have to have here. And so that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, we're gonna fab it up in cardboard and then we're gonna try to transfer it to our steel plate. But look at how it even works out where this is pretty well in the center of the, you know, it's gonna be off by just a little bit, but that is no big problem. We can trim this fan down, you know. I mean, look at how close it's very, very close. It might need to be up this way a little bit, but like I said, we'll just shave off a little bit of the fan and that will be no big problem. It's better than the alternative of sadness. Yeah. All right, I got my basic shape cut out in cardboard. How I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna leave this side a little proud, because originally there was a bracket that bolted here, which I don't have, and one of the bolts is twisted off in that hole. That was the place you bolted your coil. So I'm gonna leave this so I've got somewhere that I can do that, and it'll be just fine and dandy. And the neat thing is, if this all works out right, and I put my little elbow on that pump, it's gonna come out just about right where a guy can use a piece of hose and go right into this original thing. So we have very, very close to original setup by the time we're done. The elbow on here will be up, and then I can feed a hose into this piece, which I don't have, but I'll have to get, that would hold our thermostat that has a bypass, see? And all will be right with the world. I'm really liking the way that this is shaping up. I think that it's entirely possible. And like I said before many times, I'm going to enjoy the fact that this is a pump that is available. So half of this hurdle is done. I think the brain power of most of it. Now I need to cut my piece of steel that basic shape, and then I got to figure out my water path, which is going to be the next problem in this affair, because I'm going to have to, yeah, you'll see. All right, it really poured rain here for a good long while, but I think I made some progress here, and it's in there. It's not all the way back tight. I didn't get long enough bolts, but that kind of simulates, you know, the gaskets that I'll have in there too. It's not just squeezed 100% tight. But if I hang this belt in here, and it's not really the right shape either, but I think she's gonna work. You know, it might look a little bit proud of that, but like I said, I'm not all the way tight either with any of this stuff. So I think it's gonna go, friends. It's gonna be better than what we had, you know. If I pull on it too much, it's gonna start to sag, but so yeah, I'm thinking that we're gonna get this going with this setup, and it's gonna be pretty awesome, because it looks to me like it's gonna work. And if I again try my fan, it's gonna be off by just a little bit. I'm gonna have to shave a little bit off of the ends so that it doesn't rub on that corner, but that's the only place I think it's gonna rub, unless I would get some kind of spacer made up, but I don't know how close we really want it in there. I think if I just shave it off, and well, that may not be the case either. I may have to make a spacer because of that belt, that lower belt. So that's another hurdle we're gonna have to sort out, but that's a kind of a small hurdle, really. I mean, if a guy, I don't know if a guy will find a 3-hole spacer, but if I could get somebody to make me something out of aluminum, all it has to be is a round thing of aluminum with a nub on one end to fit through here, and then 3 holes in it, and a recessed place for this. I think I could make I think we can make her go. I'll look on the internet. Maybe somebody makes it, like one of the FIAT cars might have had this set up, or a foreign tractor might have this set up. But I will see. That's no problem. That's the least of my worries. A machine shop can make that for me. The biggest thing was this hurdle right here, and I think it's gonna go. I got the holes torched through. I actually drilled it and then just torched out the leftover pieces. But I got the hole so the water will come down, and in there I had to also torch a little bit out of the plate on there. I don't know how well that'll work, but it's bound to be better than what we had, which was nothing. So I'm super pumped here, friends. I can't take that away from you enough so you understand. Like I said, if I put that on there, here's the original tube, which I didn't have and I found one. But I think if I put that on there, like a short piece of hose, we'll connect these two and that'll look original. And then all I have to do is, I got an original pipe that's supposed to bolt to the other water pump. It would be neat if it would be the exact same shape and size that would fit this. We'll see. If it isn't, I can take the one off that other one. I'll have to heat it up and get it out of that top casting. Put a hose on it to here, buy one of those screw thermostats, like for race car deals, and then that is all done, and it'll be ready to go. I think I got something figured out for the fuel pump, so I might be able to put original fuel pump on it and forget the electric one. And yeah, this project's coming together. Don't let people tell you that parts don't exist and you can't do it, because if you're creative enough, you can make it happen. And that's where we're at on this project. So I will have to get shorter bolts again. I always do that. I always look at it and I think I need, you know, more thread, and I really needed the next size shorter, so I'll have to get some of those. These I'll either have to get shorter ones or I'll have to put washers on them, because see, it was protruding through that back plate and I don't have, well, that one might be fine. Maybe I just didn't have the right bolts a while ago. But I can't have anything sticking through, because that's got to mount tight to that plate. But it is definitely, I mean, like, it's a through hole with water now, so I am pumped. I think we got her licked. All right, it's many hours later. I don't know if it's many, but I've been fine-tuning this plate, and I finally got it ready for final installation. I just need to get correct length bolts. I guessed way too long. I need to get 2 of those for there. I need to get one 10mm bolt that's shorter. This one factory one will work. I think it tightens up right, and it was flush with the back. So I need to get another one that'll be flush with the plate when you're done, and then it's going to be in there. It's going to be slightly different because there's going to be 2 gaskets in there, but I mean, I think it's what we want. I think it's going to work. It'll be close enough to play anyway. I suppose if it starts chewing belts off and just won't hold anything, then we can always maybe take this to somebody who's got a milling machine and they can mill off a few thousandths or whatever we think we need. But I've seen belts run way out of whack before and still work, but I think this one's going to be close. It's kind of deceiving because this belt is so much junk. It's just hard to really tell what we got. But yeah, I think when we get that in there, it's going to be perfectly in line. The GoPro probably won't make it look that way because the GoPro distorts things, but I'm pretty darn pumped, you know. The next thing we'll tackle is our fan. Once we get the water pump mounted down for keeps, we'll figure out what we're going to do. I was going to just leave it go, but I can't because I got to have a spacer because of that power steering pump belt. So it's going to have to be in there a good ways. So I'm going to have to get a spacer made or find one that will go from 3-bolt. You know what I'm saying. I got a neighbor who's a good machinist. He might be able to make me that out of aluminum, and it won't be too awful difficult, you know. And then we'll get that mounted up and go. But this was the big head scratcher that I'm kind of proud of this solution, really. I mean, it worked out. I think it's going to work great. And it's going to be so nice that nobody will know if they don't know what I did. I mean, when I'm done, it's going to look like it was made that way for the most part. I mean, people will see the squareness of this plate and probably be like, that's not right. But I made me some holes there to mount my coil on after a bit when we get that far. And then the other thing is that air cleaner. I was not entirely sure how that goes, but it does go through the hood, I believe. I'm not, when our original parts get here, we'll know for sure. But I'm pretty sure she mounted in there like this. So see, what I've done here is I gave myself enough room that I can actually weld a piece of angle iron on there and hopefully bolt it in right here. And that's going to be what it needs. It's probably going to have to be like, it's probably going to screw up my plan and whatever. And I might just have to weld bolts right to that adapter plate and just have it up. But I'll have to put all the sheet metal on in order to figure that out. So this is going to be a put it together once, take it all apart again, put it together second time, fun times at the ranch type of situation. Because it's going to go through the hood, and we're going to have that just as it should be, you know. So that's going to be one of the later things I do, and then follow it up with taking it all totally apart again to make it the right way, because I don't know where it has to go in here. I don't know what kind of height situation I'm going to have. I'm probably going to have to modify that to work, which is fine, you know. I'm cool with that. Small price to pay for what I've done here. This one's not the greatest anyway, so if I have to find a different one and go back to original sometime, that'll be fine too. But as far as this goes, I mean, I'm pretty pumped, because I think I figured something out that's gonna actually work. We just got to get the right combination of hardware to make that happen. But we are a lot farther on our way than I thought we would be, so that is a good thing. Do you suffer from low intelligence and are easily entertained? Well, then hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment. And that way we can keep making entertainment that your feeble minds can understand. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.